YouTube. Hi, Spotify. It's Kel. And I'm coming to you today, still on this road trip, and I'm almost actually out of gas. So I'm not even sure if this is going to be postable technically today, but I feel like it's important to try to do it daily or every other day. So I'm just going to do the podcast. Whether or not it gets posted is a different story. But I wanted to talk today a little bit about the theme of what is called separation of church and state. So, I've heard very religious people say that they are all about, church and state. I've heard the other side say that they are not for, merging church and state. And so I wanted to give my personal take on it because I am what I consider to be a very spiritual person. And yet I want to just give a couple reasons why personally in America, I feel like we may not want to have a merging of church and state. Number one is because it was founded on a separation of church and state. Obviously, when the founders, obviously when we founded it, coming over from Europe, we were trying to build a freedom of religion, right? And so a huge part of that, and I'm not putting down any other countries, but just a huge part of that was the ability to worship any way that you wanted to and not have it be interfered with by government. And so one of the things that is very, fundamental to America's government is religious freedom. And so when you go into merging church and state, you start to blur that line. Secondly, here's the biggest thing that I'm going to dumb it down really, but I've talked to a lot of I'll be honest, Christian friends, but obviously I just heard the other day that I heard advocates for Judaism wanting to merge church and state. And so I'm just gonna say for everybody who's, there's a lot of very spiritual people who are very interested in merging church and state. When the majority happens to be you. So, like, for instance, I'm going to self-disclose. I would qualify myself as a Christian. I don't talk about it that much, but I like to consider myself spiritual. I screw up a lot, but also, I try. So, and yet I still would advocate for the separation of church and state and them being divided and separate, whereas church takes care of church things and state takes their care of state things. And why would I say that? Because no, thank you. Because sorry, that was like a little glitch. I don't know if that's going to show up in the video, but so basically, why do I say there should be a separation of church and state? Because everybody wants church and state when you are in the majority in the government. So I'm an example again. I'm a Christian, and we've had a history of Christian leaders, right? So it's not, I'm not superior to think, okay, well, and we have a majority of Christians here in America. So a lot of Christians want Christianity to be led or integrated into the government, into schools or whatever. Because it agrees with them, right? And now it blows my mind that what people don't think about when you advocate for a merging of church and state is that what if the government ends up being a religion that you don't agree with, right? So an example, and this is no judgment towards Muslims, but some Muslims agree with the practice of getting down on your knees and praying to Mecca 5 times a day. Okay, so now, again, more power to them. I would never judge someone for wanting to pray in the way they want to pray, right? But do I personally want to be forced, if I'm at school or my kids are at school or whatever? I don't have kids, but if I had kids, if they were at school, to get down on their knees at school to pray to Mecca or to pray at all 5 times a day? No, I would not. I would not want that at all. And so again, if that would be like if someone Muslim were in government, right, or the head of the government. So you forget that when you're advocating for a merging of church and state, what happens if it's not your religion that's in charge? right? This is a very, in my opinion, basic concept, but yet seems to be forgotten because I don't hear a lot of people, I don't think, who would want to get down on their knees. And God, I mean, to take it a step further, what if they were told they had to pray to Mecca 5 times a day? Now, again, this would be great for Muslim students or Muslim people. But the point is that the great thing about this country is that we don't have to do what anybody else tells us about religion. That would have never worked for me. I would have rebelled so hardcore if someone would have told me how to pray or what to do, or, like who exactly, what to say or any of that. That kind of stuff does not work with me. That's way too regimented. So my point is, again, you can differ in your opinion, and I doubt I'll talk about my personal opinion of politics a lot on the podcast, but I am just going to say, as a person who considers myself faithful and spiritual, I also find it very important, actually, to be an advocate of the separation of church and state, specifically because, kind of quote, God forbid, what happens if it is a religion other than yours not in command, and how will they integrate their religion into your life, right? And so please advocate for the separation of church and state, because, again, church is church. Go to church 7 days a week. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, great, good for you. I think it's good for all of us. Maybe, I don't know about 7 days a week, but hey, to each his own, but don't force me to do it, right? So it's always like, do it, let everybody live the way they want to, but don't force it on other people. You know what I mean? Like, I will let you live and love the way you want to, but don't tell me how to live and love the way I want to, right? So that's the essence, I think, of, to me, why it's so important to stay very clear, even as a spiritual person, on why we should have that division. And again, the other day I was watching, I think it was Tucker, and he had a strong one. I think it was a rabbi or someone, an Israeli, strong, like a previous former leader in their government or something. But he was very much that leader was very much saying that they do not agree with the separation of church and state in America, and how it's, quote, unacceptable, and they will ultimately want merging of church and state, which means Israel wants to merge their government over here. So it's just, the whole point is, and I don't care if it was Israel or Muslims or Christians, the point, or atheists or anyone. The point is we should all just, government is for government, the state is for state, and religion is for religion, So I hope that this video finds you well. I was really kind of trying to dumb this video down, but also it's a very important point, I feel like, because I don't know that I hear a lot of people talking about it. Like, well, it's great that we always have Christians that are in leadership, but what if it was someone else, So anyways, again, I don't know if this video will post, but I'm making it because I feel like it's important to consistently make a podcast, even if I'm not going to post every episode. So I hope that you're doing well wherever you are, and I am thinking of you and hoping that you're happy and healthy, and I will see you next time.